everyone, I'm Allie with Potomac Beads, and I'm going to show you how to use a collection of gemstones, some Athena cast, as well as some check glass to create a nice kind of boho chic necklace that I'm calling the Vermont Summer Knotted Necklace. We're going to be using some Bead Tech knotting cord. You can use black or brown. I used brown in the sample. We're going to be using black. And you want to have handy a lighter device or a thread zap. I'll be using the thread zap. We're going to be burning the ends of the knot cord. We also have a gathering of materials that you can check out by looking at the links below the video for that full description of all of the materials that were used to create this fun and funky boho chic design. Gather up your materials and let's get started. So I want to show you the sample piece because we're going to be doing a couple different techniques. We're going to be using one of these charm connectors with the Athena cast, learning how to create those kind of double slip knots, as well as burning to create the ends of the cord, working on our knotting skills and creating that nice, again, kind of organic look where the pattern matches, but it's not exact to both sides. We have kind of little charms on either side, and then how to tie the knot to add a button clasp. You can also make this adjustable and as many strands as you want. I have here some Athena cast items as well as some check glass. These are from one of the collections. These are called pine cones, and I'm going to be using this for the focal. I use the blue one from the same collection. They're in groups and packs of 4 of each style, so you can make a bunch. Same with these rondelles here. These were all in the same collection, so I'm using some of the same ones for the green necklace. We're switching to gold for our Athena cast. I have some gold large hole hex nuggets there, as well as my daisy spacers and a couple little round disc charms. I also have a nice monstera leaf here, which I'm going to hang from the bottom of the piece. And then we have some gemstones that we'll be working in. I have Russian Amazonite for that nice green pop, and then an African turquoise matted bead. You may be looking at these beads. Oh, and a hawthorn seed bead just to add that little bit of color variation. When you're working with knotting cord, there's a couple things that you want to keep in mind. The knotting cord is a synthetic cord. It's used a lot for macrame and for tying knots. I absolutely love it. A little bit goes a long way. It's really, really cost-effective material, and it does burn. So I'm going to take my thread burner here and just show you that kind of tip and technique here, where it gets a little gummy at the end. It burns the material. That's here. You can see kind of the smoke rising there, and it's going to burn it and make it a little bit gummy, and then that creates a nice end where it's not going to fray, it's not going to move. What is going to be the challenge is that these holes for some of these beads, especially the gemstones, are not huge. So what we need to do is create a stiff end at the end of the piece. You can do this with glue, or you can simply burn the end of the thread. Be careful not to burn your fingers. I'm kind of running that heat right along the end of the piece. And I have a nice sharp scissors or a wire cutter here. See how it's kind of fanning it out here, where I can then touch it here. And I have this wire cutter where I want to cut on an angle. And then what I'm going to do is just take my thread burner here and kind of pull out that angle and stretch it out, give it a little pinch. We're going to be accessing our thread burner a fair amount as we get started. To begin, I'm going to be doing my rope section here, and then I'll drop down and do the bottom. For the rope section, I am using one of my Athena cast rings like this. I wanted to show you can also use some of the buttons as well if you want to have it kind of attached to the bottom or the sides. Actually, let's change it up. And since I did this one with the rings here, let's change up and we'll use the button for this one. So I'm going to get my button out here. I'm going to move my pine cone off to the side, and then I'm going to make little, and my monstera here off to the side. I'm not going to use those yet. Make little piles of my gemstones, and I'll tell you how much we're going to cut of our Bead Tech knotting cord. So to get started on this, we have kind of our cluster here at the bottom. I know I'm going to be bringing that pine cone check glass bead down to the bottom. So I'm not going to use a ton of green right at the bottom. I want to give that a little bit of space for the other colors to soak up before going in and using a lot of my green. I have 5 feet of my cord here. If you want to make the necklace really long, you may even want 6 feet. If you want a knot between each individual bead rather than clusters and then some individual beads, you may need more of your cord because the longer you make the necklace, the more knotting you do, the more cord you need. What I'm going to do first is put this through the end of my cord here. And we are just going to double over the thread, loop it through the loop here, and we just have that nice little looped over edge. When I bring it in, you'll be able to see that a little bit better here. Then it's just looped over right at the end. If you're connecting to something like this connector, this 11mm connector, you can string right through it and then take a knot and put it on right after. So just right through the end there and not after. You can also go this way and hang it down from the other side. We have these in a couple different sizes. I really like them, the connector links. From here, we're going to work on the top. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to tie a knot just to kind of hold that in place. And I'm going to tie a knot right after that loop, double knot going through both loops there, pushing it down towards the piece, and then pulling each individual side 1 and 2. Ideally, if you have a bead that is big enough and has a large enough hole, you're going to take your ends here. See if I can get this one on. And I'm going to take that nugget and I'm going to put one of each strand through that nugget bead. And remember, I went in and I heated up the ends here and kind of pointed them to make them a little bit thinner at the end and to make it so I could push both of those on. That gets that little knot there at the end. And I'm going to mimic the knot after by tying a knot after. So I'm just looping it around my fingers, tucking it underneath, just doing that double looped knot, pushing it down close to the project. If you've never done any knotting before, you can use a beading awl and go in here and knot. You can see I'm just pushing it down close to the project. And for this one here, it's kind of that boho hippie. It doesn't need to be perfect. We actually have it that it's off-centered with the different charms that we add. From here, we're going to separate it out. And we're going to separate out now and concentrate on one side and the other side, but we're building at the same time because I want to see what does this look like and what's the feel of it. So I'm going to start by taking my one end of my cord here, and I want to start with a small bead. So I'm going to start just like I did the other one with a seed bead here. And I'm going to knot after the seed bead. This time it's just one loop. So I'm taking both of the cord over both of my fingers, making a loop, tucking through that loop, just a regular old knot. You can see I kind of take my time, push it down next to my piece as close as I can go. If you need to, you can grab a needle, you can grab a head pin, again, your beading awl, put that into the loop, pull your knot because it won't close until you pull that out. Pull it nice and tight, kind of push it down, then pull it out, and that's a little cheat. Again, this style of necklace, you don't really need to. I'm going to push my bead on here. You should be able to see that edge that I've kind of fanned out a little bit. Put that on and knot. My next cluster, just like my sample piece, I'm actually going to do a cluster of some of the pink beads to grab a little bit of that pink, which is going to go really nicely with the green hanging down. So this one here, I'm going to do a cluster rather than separating it out. Grabbing my rondelles, and I love these pink rondelles, I'm going to put on 1, 2 pink rondelles. And if you start to get that the end won't go through, you can totally cut more off and reheat it again. Or again, glue will work. From here, I put on 3 of my rondelles with 1 of my gold daisy spacers in the middle. I'm going to go right over, create that loop again, wrapping around your fingers or around your hand. Create that loop, push it through, and you can see I kind of pull it down next to my piece. Push it down with my fingers. Knotting is a technique. The Chinese knotting cord, this Bead Tech cord is really, really forgiving, so and very inexpensive. So the nice thing is you can practice doing your knots prior to creating this necklace. And nothing says you have to fill the whole thing with beads. You can keep more space in between. You just want to keep it balanced visually. Once I have those pink beads on the other side, same thing here. I'll go in and I'll tie a little knot. I'm going to repeat this look with a little bit, and you can see I didn't tie it super tight there, using a little bit of space afterwards. And have it move a little bit on the strand. You want to just kind of keep track of it and make sure your knots are in the same place. I'm going to add a couple more beads, bringing in some of those lighter colors, and then getting ready to make the strand different by going in and adding some of my little tags here on the side. Now that we've got some more beads on here, you can see I grouped another rondelle with a little gold one. Then I started to differentiate just a tiny bit. I added 3 of my green matte turquoise, and then also 1 of that Russian Amazonite green. and one seed bead on here, because what I'm going to do here is create it a little bit of off balance. I don't want it too off balance that my mind's like, whoa, what's going on? But I'm going to put some of these pretty little Athena cast tags here. These are 7mm tags. On the sample piece, I used leaves, and I like to do an odd count number. And I'm going to put those so they just kind of turn and flow and give that nice little, again, kind of boho chic look. I'm putting the cord on there and giving a nice little tie. It almost has like that Sundance look to it. And putting on the next bead. Very natural. I'm going to put that seed bead right after it. I'm then going to hold it up to the project and see if I'm about equal in length. And I'm about equal in length, and I'm ready to go in and create another place of symmetry. And then I'll do some more on the opposite sides. When you're going in and creating and putting your beads on, remember that there is like no real right or wrong or pattern that you want. You may have to go in and burn down the thread edges a little bit, but I'm gonna have fun kind of changing up the pattern, adding a little bit of gold, and then I'll show you when we get to adding more of the little charms there on the side. So showing the progression as we went up along the necklace, I did pretty much the same pattern here. So again, I'm connecting it that I have a little bit of a different pattern and kind of alternating the sides where I'm putting the little tags. So it looks like, again, that kind of natural organic. And I'm keeping the distance about the same from the start and the stop and repeating a pattern for a little bit to bring the eye back together. I separated out the beads a little bit further at the end and went from 3 to 2 to 1 of the links. That helps to keep it balanced. At the end here, I'm going to see if I have my cord about the same. I'm just going to trim the one down so they are the same. And now what I'm going to do is go to the front or the bottom of the piece. And I'm going to keep this in the back, and we're going to tie that off. We're going to have fun now creating the bottom of the piece, still with that knotting cord and nothing more than our burner. We're going to bring that pinecone green bead down to be a nice piece here at the bottom to give it some weight, as well as one of these beautiful tropical leaves. It's like a monstera leaf. That's going to hang down as well too to bring more of that gold focus. And you'll notice in the original design here, to bring that metal down, I dropped it further than the pinecone bead so that it hangs down a little bit. I'm going to grab some of my colors from my design, and I don't need too many greens because I have this green focal. I'm going to bring some of the pink down like I did here. And then some of the Russian Amazonite. We'll get a couple of the nice neutral beads in here. And then also we still have some of our nugget beads as well as our little charms. So I'm going to grab 2 of those to hang next to one another. I still have 2 left then if I want to make a nice little cluster pair of earrings. Think about that as you're making your pieces and think, oh, what earrings am I going to wear with this? So I have all of my pieces out here, and I'm going to get ready to take some of my cord and I'm going to cut it into strips that are right about 7 or so inches. I'm going to take the thread end here and just burn through. And we're going to create our first little drop. Our first little drop we're going to do to the middle is going to be the pinecone bead. So like we did at the top here, we're going to go in and we are going to loop over and put the cord through the loop there at the bottom of this little button that we're using. Take those cords through, give a nice tight pull. It's up to you if you want to burn or not at the end. It's completely up to you. I'm going to put one of my seed beads on the end here. Oops, and I still need to burn my thread end. Not right after. You can keep these longer if you want to, just to give it a little sway. And now I'm going to put on my pinecone bead. I'm probably going to need to burn down my, oh, it went right through. All right, so here's how we're doing this at the end. I'm going to grab a burner here. We're going to take our cord and we're simply going to do another knot here at the end. If you have a bead that has a large hole, you might need to do another knot that sits right over top. This one I know is plenty good, that it's going to stop. I'm going to take my wire cutter or my scissors, trim it down close, and then we're going to take our thread burner or our lighter here, and we are going to heat it up, make this gummy at the end. The lighter is going to be a lot quicker. Thread burner is just a little bit smaller. Get it gummy, let it dry just a little second, and then press it down on the bead. It's a nice stop bead there at the bottom. This cord here, I'll determine what I want it to look like. So I'm going to hang that one down with some beads. and with some extra little flare here at the bottom. This next one I'm going to start a little bit different because I want that mascara to hang down. You can see that I've added some of those pink beads to give that pink balance. I've had my charms here, some extra little beads I'm going to add as well. I have my piece of cord here, and I'm going to put on my monstera leaf, and I'm going to simply grab at the end here, give a little bit of space. I'm going to do an overhand knot. Oops. I don't need a ton of cord, but I need enough to get through. And I want just a little bit for that to hang. Just a little bit there of that open space. From here, we're going to do the same thing linking through, but the first thing I'm going to do is take this guy, burn this one down towards the project. This is a good one where you can see kind of how I control the piece and burn it down towards it. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is build this one kind of on the way up. See where I want it to hang. It's going to hang right there. I'm going to give a little bit of weight to it there at the bottom. Adding on some beads. And you can still link it through. Oh, I'll need to burn that a little bit more. You can still link it through if you want to, doubling it over like this, going through the loop. This time taking your monstera and your extra cord through the loop there. And I have way more cord than I need. I got excited and left myself way extra. And now what I'm going to do is kind of play around with where I want that monstera to hang. But see, you need to go in if you want more beads on and put that on first. From here, then you can do the same thing where you can actually take them out before they get too many beads on. So right here, I'm going to design the bottom after doing that, after doing that little loop there, and see what I want to hang down. I'm going to bring a little bit of my yellow. Take that down, just like we've been doing, knot. And the great thing about, again, this synthetic cord is that it really can be really, really versatile, and you can kind of do whatever you want with it. I'm going to bring a little bit more of that pink color. I love these rosy rondelles. I think they're amazing. Burn that thread end down a little bit more. I might need to clip it still. Put my rondelle on, knot again, and keep going. We're going to do a total of our 4 strands. You can do 6, 4, 2, 1. It's completely up to you. I'm going to let that loop around then right after there. So now if you want to, you can also loop it differently. I'm going to loop the same way. Now that I have my beads on there, going through here, tucking this through. And then once you have beads on there, what you're going to do is pull the one side that doesn't have beads on and push the other one up towards the base. Right there. Pull that one, push that one up, and pull. And there we go. All right, now I get to decorate the last one to finish off this fun necklace. All right, now I have the simplest job of tying on the clasp. You can really use anything for this. You can also do it so that it just fits and slides over your neck. I'm going to be utilizing one of the cup buttons here in the metal cup button. And I did the same thing for my necklace. It's super easy to take on and off for the sample piece. All we're going to do is go into the button from the back, out through the top. If you want to, you can certainly add a bead there in the middle, down through the back. And depending on the length, you can chop it down or lengthen it out. Go in here, simply tie a knot. So simple. Going to tie right over left, left over right, kind of making that a square knot. Go in then. It's up to you if you want to keep that boho look or cut it down short and burn it. I'm going to keep a little bit of fringe on it. You can even put some beads on that and knot it if you want. Keep just the tiniest little bit of fringe there and burn that down so it doesn't fray. On the opposite side, we're going right into the end. We're looping it over so that we know it goes through the clasp. And just like we did, making sure it's about even here, going over and doing a double knot. So, so simple. Once again, if you want to, and you can see I'm just kind of playing with that to make sure it's the size that I want it to be. You can put a little charm on there on the bottom, little bead if you want to. I'm going to use, since it's here and I'm talking about it, let's use one of these little pink ones here for the end. I can get it without burning down. Yep, got it. Okay. Little charm there at the end. And even if you don't have enough space to knot, you can usually go like this. Burn. See how that'll fray there? Burn that into a big ball. Pressing down flat. And that'll stop your bead from falling off the end. Now at the end here, you have that nice little button clasp and that loop for you to hang your necklace and to have that nice Vermont summer kind of boho chic look. Thanks so much for joining me for this Vermont summer kind of nature's necklace. It's knotted, it's easy to work with. You can work with the bead tech knotting cord in the brown or in the black, and a little bit goes a long way. It's a great way to utilize some of your leftover beads, as well as some of these beautiful Athena cast connectors, charms, and links that we have. I know this is going to be like my new summer go-to necklace to wear with all kinds of different things. Remember, if you need any of the collections for the rondelles or any of the Athena cast, go below the video into the description and we'll put links there so you can get back to the website. If you need anything, you can also comment and we'll answer along there. Don't forget to subscribe because Potomac Beaders, you don't want to miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads. Thanks so much for watching and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.